everyone. Today I thought I would talk about something a little bit easier to follow because what did I say last video? I really don't know. Now, I'm not qualified to talk about anything. There is nothing I'm qualified in. But if there was one thing that I feel like I have a slight advantage on, it is I know how to spend time alone. I am very good at that, and I didn't used to be, but it feels like I have done enough things by myself that I actually feel like there is potentially something I can say that may be of use at this point. So I thought today I would talk about how to spend time alone and how to enjoy time alone, because everyone spends time alone. Most people have to do, to be honest, the majority of most things people do are quite often things you have to do alone. Driving, or I don't know, going to work, cooking, like there's tons of things that we do alone. But I think enjoying time by yourself is a whole different thing. I thought I would talk about this because it has changed my life massively. Sorry, there's about 50 cyclists behind me right now. I don't know what kind of event is happening. Kind of cute though. However, I do think if you can learn to really enjoy spending time alone, I think it does open up a lot of doors in terms of what you do, what you can do with your time and your days. Because I do think when you grow up, hopefully you can't hear all the cars going past, because for some reason there's like a flurry of cars right now. Because I think when spending time alone or doing what you want to do with or without people, when it becomes an option to do things by yourself and it's something you're happy doing, I think you then your life does open up in a sense that, like, if you're only comfortable doing half the shit you like doing, if other people are free to come with you, if you know what I mean, then you are banking on the fact that other people are going to be available. And I do think as you get older, I say this as like a literal 7-year-old child. I don't know, I feel weird saying as you get older when I'm literally like still a baby at this point. But regardless, when you grow up a bit, people have relationships, people have kids, people have jobs, people travel, people get busy. And I think if you don't become comfortable with the fact that you're gonna have to be alone quite a lot of the time, and you kind of put your life on hold for when, you know, people are free. I just realized I should lock my door. I don't like sitting in my car with it unlocked because I feel like someone's gonna come and kill me. I think you get my point. But when you are holding out to do things that you want to do, waiting for it to fit into other people's schedule, or for other people to not have work, or not be with their boyfriend, or to come back from doing this, or I don't know, it's just like people are busy. And you kind of have to be able to entertain yourself when you're an adult. Do you know what I mean? Whether you choose to spend a lot of time by yourself or not, having that option there, as, you know, would I like to go to the beach today with a friend? Yeah, but none of them are free right now, and I still want to go to the beach, and I'll have a nice day by myself at the beach. Like, it wasn't my first choice, no, but am I still gonna go and have a nice day? Like, yes. Do you know what I mean? That's kind of the place that, like, I think makes things easier for you. I have always been someone who has liked spending time alone. Like, even as a child, I've always found it kind of peaceful. I generally find people quite irritating. I'm kidding. I mean, I'm not, but like, I don't know. I think there's something kind of nice about solitude. I've always enjoyed that. However, it's only in the past handful of years that I've actually become quite comfortable in it. Just doesn't, things like going out to dinner by yourself, or going for a drink by yourself and taking a book, or you know, things like that used to feel like there's no fucking way I'm doing that in public, are now completely normal to me, and things I do throughout the week all the time. And they're some of my favorite things to do ever. Like, if I've, you know, had a busy day, or I've got some free time, taking a book to the beach and bringing like a little Corona in my bag and just sitting in front of the sea is just, I love things like that. I literally have the best time by myself. But yeah, I remember in school, I didn't really spend much time by myself. I did at home, but like, you wouldn't catch me going out by myself really, because in school, I feel like that's like, there's no way you're doing that, because that you are literally a loser if you do that. That is not me calling anyone who's in school doing that a loser. I kind of envy you, and I think it's actually really cool. But I didn't have the guts in school to be doing that. It just didn't cross my mind. It felt like foreign, like that's just not, you couldn't possibly do that. And I went to sixth form, which is college, or I don't even know what that is, high school. When I was, how old are you? 17, 18? That was kind of, it felt like a big jump for me in terms of gaining a personality. Like, I think in school, it's kind of hard for anyone to have a personality. Like, it's so hidden behind so many things that, like, I don't think anyone shows their proper personality, because they don't even know what it is in school. Like, I don't know one personality trait that I had when I was like 15. I liked music, and that's literally all I could tell you. And that's pretty average for people that age. Like, you don't, sorry, this lighting is so like, it's changing every 2 seconds. But maybe it kind of feels like we're in the forest together. I don't know. Actually, it's probably really annoying. Yeah, but then when I went to sixth form, it felt like a big jump in terms of like maturity and independence. It felt a bit more like everyone started doing their own thing a bit more. Like, I feel like in school, you're on this like communal journey. You're all bunched together and you're all going to the same place. Do you know what I mean? Like, you're all working towards a goal that you all share. You all have to do your GCSEs and then go to college or go to sixth form or whatever you're doing. But at that point in your life, you don't really need to have a personality, because you're doing what you have to do. You don't really have a choice at that point. You literally don't. You have to do that. Whereas once you're 17, 18, it feels like you start, the communal journey stops, and everyone splits into, okay, this is now about me. It's not, we're all doing different things. If I don't do this, no one's doing it for me. Like, I feel like, because for me, in my schedule when I was in sixth form, I had a lot of free periods that were like kind of back to back. So I'd have like 3-hour chunks where like I wouldn't have any classes. So that is kind of the time where I started actually spending time by myself, because I was like, right, it's 11 a.m. I have to be back at 2. I'm just gonna like walk into town and get a coffee and like come back, because I don't want to sit in school for 2-3 hours and I'm not gonna go home. Do you know what I mean? So I was like, let's just go for a little stroll. And I vividly remember the first time I ever did this, like first time I ever went out for a drink by myself. And I went to a cafe in town that's actually not there anymore, which makes me feel like it was ages ago, which is kind of weird. And I sat down and I think I got like an iced tea, which is really weird to think about now, because now I'm such a coffee person, and I think I must have not even drank coffee back then. But I got this like floral iced tea thing, and I sat down, and I remember I pulled out like my books, and sorry, why am I getting a fucking rash? Like, maybe I'm just hot. Right, where's my key? I'm just gonna open the window a little bit. Do I want a rash, or do I want you to be able to hear me? Yeah, so I got my little iced tea, and I pulled out my books and like my textbooks, because I was like, what do I do with myself? I was like, I can't just sit here and like look about. Like, I need to look like I'm doing something. Like, I need to busy myself, because I feel weird. So I remember like pretending to literally do work. Like, I don't think I was doing any. It made me so physically uncomfortable doing that. Like, there was a tiny part of me that was like, this is kind of nice, but like, I'm not used to this. And I just kind of made a habit of it. In sixth form, whenever I had a free chunk of time, I would just, you know, walk into town, get a coffee, and it slowly started to feel like the highlight of my day. Like, I'd be like, oh my god, yay, on Thursday I have like 2 hours free, I'm gonna try this new coffee shop. And I used to like, I'd bring my headphones and I'd make like a whole thing of it, and I would do the walk into town. I would listen to the Strokes a lot. I really remember listening to the Strokes a lot at that point. So now whenever I listen to the Strokes, I'm like, oh my god, I feel like I get the like rush of like excitement. Like, that is just when I gained personality. I really look back on that time and like it makes me really happy, because I'm so glad I did that and that I started getting comfortable with spending time alone, because now I do like almost everything alone and I love it. And I do see friends and things, I do see people, but like my day-to-day is quite like alone. Do you know what I mean? Like, I'm so glad that I pushed through that uncomfortable discomfort. They mean the same thing. I don't know why I just said that. They're literally the same word, I think. But something here, is that gonna make the lighting way better? Oh my god, I'm fucking smart. But yeah, I think the moral of the story is that it's uncomfortable when you don't do it, when you've never done it. It's out of your comfort zone, and like anything, it takes time and it takes repeatedly doing it to even begin to enjoy it. I think that is a big part of spending time alone that people don't like, is the fact that they feel so embarrassed, and there's like a self-conscious element to it, which I get, and I still get that occasionally, generally only if it's people that I've seen that like I know, and then I'm like, oh my god, now it's awkward, but it wasn't. Do you know what I mean? It wouldn't ruin it. I would just be like, fuck, like why could you not have gone to somewhere else for your lunch? Like, now I feel like you're looking at me, and but if they're strangers, for some reason, like, I could not care less, because I'm like, I don't know you, you're never gonna see me, like, I don't care. But I honestly think like the embarrassment hurdle, once you're past that, it's like, it's very, very worth it. And I do think your life becomes a lot more interesting. It gives you time and space to create your own perspective on like what matters to you, what you care about, what you enjoy, what kind of I don't know, like, you actually just gain kind of like a personality, and you become interesting, I feel like, because you've got something to say. If you don't have that time to like reflect and process things and use your brain and actually come up with your own like perspectives and ideas and shit, like, you just will become whatever comes your way. You'll just kind of morph into that. Do you know what I mean? I don't know, I feel like spending time alone, you can gain your own thoughts and your own opinions and your own perspectives, and become quite, I don't know, you just become a bit more well-rounded and interesting. And this is not me saying that if you're a social person you aren't interesting, because I do think there is a difference between, I think I said this at the start, and like, I'm just so conscious that I don't want it to sound like that. There is a difference between being a social person and being, I mean, I wouldn't call myself an antisocial person, although it very strongly sounds like it. I wouldn't. I need to socialize, and I really enjoy it when I go. Okay, I'm not a loser, but I just think yeah, like, what? What's my point? Basically, my point is, being social because you enjoy it, being social by choice, is different to only being social because you like want to throw up at the thought of doing something by yourself. That is when it's like, okay, but you're not even giving yourself a chance to like have thoughts. Do you know what I mean? Like, I honestly think sometimes it's nice to just give yourself that space to actually just let your mind like wander, to not constantly be talking to people, constantly busying yourself, and kind of just letting yourself be bored. Like, that, I'd say the main two things people don't like about spending time alone are they're like self-conscious of it and they get bored. I don't think it's the worst thing in the world to feel a bit of boredom. Sometimes fun things come out of that. Do you know what I mean? Like, you kind of get creative. If you're at the beach and you have like no Wi-Fi, maybe you'd read a book. Maybe you'd whip the book out of your bag that you packed but haven't touched. I do that all the time. I don't know, I just think like it's not the worst thing in the world. A big part of it is like getting okay with the silence, not running from the fact that there's no noise and no people and no, I don't know, just like things being quiet doesn't have to be the worst thing in the world. And if it is uncomfortable, which it can be, it can be uncomfortable, and sometimes it's very tempting to fill the gap, if you know what I mean. But sometimes that can be like avoiding discomfort. You're purposefully like packing your schedule so you have no time to like feel anything. We've all been there. But like, I don't know, if it's like an avoidant thing, like I don't want to spend time alone because I don't want to like hear what's going on in there, that I think that is quite normal. And as scary as it is, it may just be what you need, and maybe it won't be as bad as you think. Do you know what I mean? I honestly see having like an afternoon by myself or like an evening free where I don't have to do anything, nothing booked in, as like a luxury. I think having time to yourself can feel luxurious, honestly. Sometimes it's as simple as like that kind of mental shift of like not seeing it as like oh, I have to do this because no one's free and I have to. It's like you get to have the house to yourself tonight. You get to, I don't know, like I look forward to it. And I know some people don't, obviously. Some people don't love spending time alone. But one day you might be like difficult to find time alone because you've got a busy job and then you've got kids and a husband and you, I don't know, maybe at some point you'll be like way too booked and busy and you'll be like, oh, back in the day I used to have like so much free time and I like complained about it, or I was bored, or I didn't appreciate it, and now like I would literally pay for everyone to get the fuck out of my house and leave me alone. Do you know what I mean? Like, it is luxurious, and I think it's something that if you kind of lean into it, it's like addictive. Like, it really is. I thought it might be useful. I thought of like a few little things that I would suggest if you're someone who wants to spend time alone, struggles to spend time alone, doesn't enjoy spending time alone, anything, or maybe just some ideas, I don't know. First thing I would say that's really useful is being intentional about spending time alone. The same way that you are intentional and you plan ahead for social things, like a lunch with a friend on next Friday, like we plan these things ahead. But with spending time alone, if you just kind of priority is booking other things in, and then when you kind of just happen to stumble upon a free hour, that's your dedicated alone time and that's it. Like, you're not really showing yourself that you're much of a priority, if you know what I mean. If you intentionally cut out time that you're like, this, I'm gonna do something by myself here, and pick what you're gonna do. Like, don't just think like Thursday evening I'll do something by myself, because let's be honest, you're just gonna sit on your phone if you don't think of something to do. I literally have in my calendar, like on Sundays usually, have bath, because I usually my Sundays are like my reset day where I do like my everything shower and I tidy my room and I clean everything out and I just sort myself out. My little pamper evening, that's normally my Sunday. But like, I intentionally pick the activity, pick when I'm doing it, and I won't plan anything over it because I'm doing something. Like, it may not involve someone else, but I'm busy. Do you know what I mean? Like, I am occupied. So pick something to do and put it in your calendar, or if you don't use a calendar, like just mentally. I don't know how people don't use calendars. I literally would, I don't know what I'd be a literal mess if I just tried to remember things. Maybe it would be go for a bike ride, do a painting, clean my room. Cleaning your room is kind of like, we do those things anyway. Do you know what I mean? Like, it needs to be a little bit more intentional. Sometimes, like, an example of something that I do is sometimes, because I love cooking for me is like one of my favorite things to do by myself, or just in general. So sometimes, like, obviously I cook myself dinner like every night, and that's kind of like, I need to eat, I'm doing that anyway. But sometimes I put in my calendar, like, I kind of dress it up a little bit, and I'll be like, we're having Italian night on Friday, like, we're gonna make pasta, gonna make a little side of garlic bread, gonna pour myself a glass of wine, gonna listen to some music. Like, I romanticize it, because why not? I don't do that every night because, like, it's not necessary to do that every night. Like, it's the same way you wouldn't go on a date with your boyfriend every night, would you? Like, the spark wouldn't go, the novelty would wear off. So I think it's nice sometimes to even just put in, like, I'm gonna make a thing of my dinner that night, or maybe I'm gonna watch this specific movie, have this specific snack, I'm gonna buy a face mask, and like, I will look forward to it because I know what I'm doing. If I wasn't intentional about that, it doesn't have the same effect. Do you know what I mean? If, like, you just happened to not make any plans one night and you didn't really think of anything to do, you couldn't be bothered to, and now you're ending up watching a film in bed because it was on. Like, that's not as special. Do you know what I mean? There's nothing wrong with doing that as well. Like, that's literally just normal. But you get my point. I also think then by doing that, you are showing yourself that you're important to yourself. Like, you're booking yourself in the same way you would book anyone else in. You're not just treating yourself as like last resort, no one else is free, I guess I'll do something. Like, you're making an effort for yourself, and although that sounds like it would make no difference, it makes a big difference. I think even just to like your self-esteem, like, it just makes you feel like you give a shit about yourself, and that, you know, everyone needs a bit of that. Another big thing that I would say is important, and it's very easy to not do, is when you're spending time by yourself, actually try and be present. This is actually, I catch myself doing this all the time, where like I'll make a thing of like I'm gonna go to the beach and like bring a book and whatever, and I notice that I've like been sat, maybe I'm on my phone, maybe I'm just like stressing mentally about something, and like I'm not actually fucking enjoying the fact that I'm lying on the beach. Like, I'm not there. Making an active choice of like, I'm going to actually be mentally present here is very important, because it doesn't really do anything if you sit on your phone. Like, the phone is counteracting the whole point, if you know what I mean. Like, that's why I really enjoy cooking for this, because I think it grounds me so much, because I can't go on my phone, I can't do other things, I can't multitask while I'm cooking, I'm just cooking. So I think that's a really good one. Not everyone's into cooking, but it's just like, it's so cathartic. I love cooking so much. And again, like, that's fairly recent. Like, I really got into cooking like 2018, 2019, like, it's been like a few years. I don't even think it's been that long. Anyway, yeah, I think making an active effort to actually be with yourself and like just basically get off your phone. I just think it's so easy to get distracted, and it's fine to get distracted sometimes, but like, just not the whole time. Do you know what I mean? I think that's a big one, to actually enjoying it as well, because if you are in the like I'm embarrassed, I'm self-conscious stage, then it's very easy to be distracted. And I think it's easy to sit there and just think, oh my god, oh my god, oh my god, the whole time. And like, did you have fun? No. Are you gonna do it again? Probably not. You've put yourself off. Do you know what I mean? If you need to, bring something that is like a healthy distraction, like maybe a book or a word search. No one's gonna bring a word search, but you get what I mean. Like, a book is probably the best. Why did my whole car just shake? It's gonna be different for everyone, but whatever you need to kind of actually just pay attention is great. And I do think sometimes, like, I'm always listening to something, like I'm always filling that gap. When I'm by myself, I'm either listening to a podcast, I'm listening to music, I don't know, it's rare that I'm like in full silence, and that's something that I make an effort to do, because I love podcasts, but sometimes like I notice that like I'm not being present because I've just listened to this for like an hour and a half, and like, I don't know, like I couldn't even tell you what mood I'm in. I haven't thought about it once. Do you know what I mean? That it's like, all of these things are fine, but sometimes it's nice to just make an active effort to put everything else aside and just pay attention to you. Like, give yourself your full attention when you're with yourself sometimes. Not all the time, because that would be exhausting and you'd probably go insane. But like, occasionally, just giving yourself your full attention, putting your phone down, stop being on social media for a little bit, just let the noise quiet down in your head and just be with yourself. I don't know how to describe it, but you know what I mean. I think a good mix of all of them is necessary. Like, sometimes your alone time is spent like watching a film and just like zoning out, and sometimes you need that. Sometimes that's the thing you need. Sometimes you need to pay attention to yourself, because maybe there's something you need to like listen to within yourself, or maybe sometimes you want to work on a hobby, or sometimes you need to be productive, or sometimes, I don't know, do you know what I mean? Like, you don't want to do, I'm not saying every time you spend time alone you need to be like painting a picture, or I don't know, doing something like productive. Like, sometimes what you need is to just lay on your bed and stare at the ceiling for an hour. I would say being intentional and making an effort to be present with yourself sometimes. Don't do that all the time. You get too introspective if you do that all the time. I've definitely had a phase where I've learnt too much into that. I really am conscious that I look like I've got like a heat rash this whole video, and to be honest, I probably have, because it's so hot in this car. But yeah, I just think, like, whether you love spending time alone or you don't, like, having an option there for, maybe it's not my first choice every single time, but I can happily entertain myself and enjoy it. I think that's a great option to have, and it's kind of needed, because like I said, people are busy, people have other things going on, and like, you don't want to put your life on pause for people. Like, you can just do these things by yourself. You just have to get past the like mental, like, no, I can't. Do you know what I mean? Honestly, I kind of want to think of some things that I could do by myself that are out of my comfort zone again, because like I said, like, going for a drink or dinner or a walk or to the beach or whatever, like, doesn't faze me now, because I do that more than I do it with people. But like, I don't know, there must be things that like I could go and do by myself that like feel kind of out of my comfort zone. I love doing things like that. Like, I've never been to the cinema by myself, and that would probably make me a little bit uncomfortable. Maybe I should try that. Why do I want to feel uncomfortable? I don't know, I just think like I like a bit of excitement, you know? I like a challenge. I'd go to the cinema by myself. I think once you get past the getting in the film and you're sat down, like, no one's looking at you anyway, so it probably actually wouldn't be that uncomfortable. But anyway, everyone's different. If you're not the type of gal who thrives spending time alone, just make sure you've at least given it a shot. I would suggest that, because I think a lot of people are quite quick to kind of write off, like, no, I could never do that by myself. And I'm like, you could. It's uncomfortable probably, because you've probably not done it, but like, you could, and like, you actually might enjoy it. Do you know what I mean? Give it a shot, because it just is only, it's only going to benefit you. Another perk is it makes you less of an annoying partner. I'm not gonna lie. You don't want to be that like suffocating I'm not trying to insult anyone here, like, I think everyone's done that at points. We've all had phases where like you're that annoying person, but I do think it only does only benefits. I look naked right now. Being independent and being competent and doing things alone, being able to entertain yourself, I think is quite an attractive feature. Do you know what I mean? It puts less pressure on the other person, I guess. And it also then, if it goes wrong, your life isn't going to crumble apart if you break up, because you're not just leaning on them to entertain you 24/7. You don't want to be in a position where your partner is your entertainment and without them you're bored. Like, that's what I mean. Like, you don't want to do that. So if you needed a better reason to do it, other than the fact that it feels great and you'll probably have a better life if you can get comfortable with it, it also might get you a girlfriend or a boyfriend. I think it's time to go home. I don't know whether to get a coffee or not, because I'm not gonna lie, I have had 4. I have had 4 today. I hope you enjoyed. I'm gonna go home now. I hope you go and do something by yourself today. And have a great day. And I shall be back next week. I'll probably end up making myself a coffee anyway, so bye.